Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Trevor Scott, and with me, as always, is Ben Slinger.
Yes, I am. Hello and welcome.
Welcome.
Hello to the Old Man Bitstorm podcast. We've aged 60 years since you last saw us. No, we haven't. But we did just come off an improv jam, so we're feeling a bit wacky. Plus, I'm very sleep deprived. But anyway, I think let's jump into some Click Pitch. Trevor, why don't you tell the fine folks at home what Click Pitch is?
Click Pitch is a game where we each have a random word generator supplied by Discord, and me having programmed it, where we each get a random adjective and a random noun, and we throw them at each other. We come up with a game design. When it doesn't work, we throw it away and we start again, or we change the game altogether.
That's right. So let's do it. 3, 2, 1, click. Sarcastic solving.
Everyday ocean.
Oh, everyday ocean. Okay. I think this is a teenage detective on a beach holiday.
Yep.
They're just too old to enjoy the family holiday anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They're sort of in their 16, 17 years old and
just want to be spending the whole time on their Game Boy.
Yeah, their original Game Boy. It's set in the 80s or 90s. No, 90s, I guess it would be.
They need to play that F1 race.
We can set it in the 90s. That actually, resolves a few of the like cell phone sort of issues that you always get with these sorts of stories. So yeah, it's the 90s. You're on a beach holiday with your family. You're not having fun, but then you stumble across something.
A dead body.
A dead body. Fine, let's go all out. A dead body washes ashore under the pier.
Washes ashore just in front of your beach house. Your parents are gone they're on this part of the weekend.
Yeah,
basically,
they're on their dirty weekend part of the weekend that you don't want to think about too much. But
yep, basically they said, we're going on a wine tour. We'll be back tomorrow because we're gonna, after we have all the wine, we're gonna stay overnight at one of the wineries and then we'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you were sort of playing on your Game Boy. You'd have thought, oh, I'll go for a quick walk. And as you walked out, you saw a dead body wash up onto the shore.
Yep.
How fresh is the body?
So, first question we need to ask, how fresh is the body? I think it's relatively fresh. I think it's relatively fresh because we want this to be a crime that has occurred while you were there.
Yes.
So that we can provide some context around it and that it's going to end up connected to them in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I think the parents did it.
Yes. I think that is the conclusion that you are led to initially.
And finally.
Wait, like screw up my red herring. Well, it depends. Okay. Let's go into this a bit more. VR?
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm sort of picturing, being able to teleport around the different areas on the beach and in your beach house initially, and then as you visit other locations, you're sort of maybe talking to people.
I'm just imagining that sort of Unreal Engine 5, really good quality, almost photo-esque environments. So as you're going, as you're hearing the crunch of the sand, as you're going along, and you find a broken down sandcastle, a broken bottle with some blood on it, and I don't know, a kid crying or something like that, calling for his parents.
I do kind of like that idea that it's this stretch of beach that has a bunch of beach houses along it. You might know a couple of your neighbours, but there's also people who just like rent them out for a weekend, like Airbnb them essentially, like different things. And so, the whole game is set just along this stretch that you can visit up and down.
Yep.
And maybe there's like the restaurant or the bar down the end or whatever that people go to.
So what I like is when you go back to your house, like after you search around for a while, you hear, or you sort of start thinking, hang on, didn't I see a camera outside? So that whoever had this B&B has actually hooked it up for security cameras. So you can actually go find like the little hidden, not hidden, but locked
cabinet
that you can open up. Then you got the security camera and you see, it shows the beach from last night.
The body shows up, and that gives you some idea of like when it might have happened, or at least like, how long the body's been there, and you can see, oh wait, but then like, a dog came along and took something off the body, and you're like, I know whose dog that is, you know.
And so you can, just depending on how well you actually did, you know, the introduction of all the neighbours. This one has a dog. This one has a kid. This one has a cut on their hand. This one, you know, had a gun. And then one of the things that you see on the security camera is you see out in the ocean, like a boat and a flash of light. And you think, okay, it may have actually occurred out there.
Yeah, and see. So now you go investigate boats. Because you've got like the pier, like you've got the pier with everyone's boats for that section, or whoever has them. Yeah, I think you could gate that relatively well, so you give the player the opportunity to go and meet the neighbours or talk to them, you know, perhaps before they need to be able to solve, who's got a dog or whatever.
Yeah,
I was going to say you have a scene before, but I think I'd like the cold open of. Maybe you give a little bit of, maybe there's like a voiceover context, like just the context of the voicemail from your mum telling you like where they are for the weekend, and gives you just that little bit of exposition of where you are. But then it's literally like you fade up from black and you've got the Game Boy in your hand. I guess it's VR, so you can't force them to have it in front of them. But, and it goes there immediately to the body is out on the beach.
I mean, usually when I play VR, I have my hand in front of me. So the first thing I'm going to see is, you know, my right hand with a Game Boy in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I can then just throw.
You can just throw. You just have, exactly. And you have like seagulls outside or something making a hell of a noise to draw the player out. Yeah, that's cool. So I do like the idea of, doing it from the teenager's perspective as well, particularly like they won't let you into the bar, and so you've got, you know, you have to find different ways to get that sort of information or disguise yourself, or I don't know, whatever. But yeah, definitely a like high def 3D. You know, this is for the next generation of VR when they can actually, you can do 90 FPS Unreal 5
120
or whatever the FPS needs to be. I guess they did, because when I think of that sort of thing, I think of there's that game, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, which had a lot of that sort of very realistic style scenery and looked fucking fantastic. So yeah, if we can get that sort of vibe going, but yeah,
3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah, let's go again. Ooh, appalling gentleman,
versatile dirt.
Okay. The versatility of dirt is an interesting topic. Very much so for an appalling gentleman.
It's just the stupidest thing, isn't it? I can get you some versatile dirt.
Now new Versadirt.
Versadirt.
Useful for every occasion.
Do you need to add dirt to your garden?
Do you need to muddy up a car?
Do you need to plant some flowers?
Do you need some dirt for your little appalling gentleman?
Are you looking for dirt on your next door neighbours?
Ooh. Well, that's our specialty. Come down to Versadirt, where we give you dirt on your dirt.
Okay, I like the idea of taking dirt as in you're looking for dirt on your neighbours.
Yeah. That's your resource then almost. You've got your leverage against different neighbours, different people in your neighbourhood. And you're parlaying that into more and more things.
So in between each mission that you've got, you can go scrounge for clues, which is just going through their bin.
Yep. Yeah, it's just, essentially you go through their garbage, you peek in their windows, you be the appalling little gentleman that you are, and it like as you find things, you get little, like it'll pop up, it'll give you a thing. It's like, you know, Jane next door is pregnant because you found a positive pregnancy test, or someone next door is pregnant. Like you might have to like connect to the dots a bit to actually be able to pin it on someone directly.
So it's almost as if you're blackmailing some of these people to, you know, you've got all this information, and if you need something from the hospital, you go to Jane, who's a nurse at the hospital, and say, well, I know things, and now I need you to come through with a favour for me. Yeah. And she goes, what sort of things? It's like, well, I know that you're pregnant. And, you know, you've burnt that one off the list, so you just tick that one off.
Well, yeah, I think they've got varying amounts of strength. because you can, as long as they give you what you're doing, like you can keep holding that over their heads until it's only burnt when the person, where either it's now no longer relevant or the person who they didn't want to have hear it hears it, and now you don't have that leverage anymore. I was also thinking it would be almost interesting to have, like, you are like this information broker of the neighborhood. So you're not only just finding out that information directly, you're then trading up that information for more powerful information about other people.
You may share the same secret to 3 or 4 people to try and get more juicier stuff. But
yes,
it's a risk versus reward.
That's it, because the more people you share it with, the more likely it is that secret no longer becomes useful because it gets out, basically.
Yeah, but if you do it too often, then they're not going to tell you any of the good secrets.
Yeah.
Because you've burnt your bridges with them, because you told them, that you saw Jesus walking down the street, and then you told Jane that you saw Jesus walking down the street. You're diluting your brand.
Yeah, so I think what we have here is we procedurally generate a neighborhood with relationships between them. We then plant the secrets, and there'll be like secrets that connect to each other, and each secret will have someone who wants the secret to be kept, and at least, or each secret will have at least one person, maybe more, that want it to be kept, and at least one person, maybe more, who cannot find out about it, essentially. And then that really gives us this prime field for gameplay, basically, and exploring those relationships and how you find that data. I mean, almost, yeah. I feel like you're
trying to become the boss of secrets.
Yeah. It's the boss of secrets, exactly. That's the perfect title for it. And
I don't know why that's
boss
the thing
around
that came
all
into my
those
head.
secrets. They do exactly what you tell them. No, I think that could be good. It's almost a bit like, so I haven't really played it, but I've seen it a little bit. Crusader Kings, because in that one, there is a mechanic in that where you essentially like have something over on another monarch or whatever, and you can use that to do certain things. I don't think we go quite as complex as Crusader Kings, but I like that idea of essentially this neighborhood as this battleground of secrets going around. And we do simulate out other things like, if you've told 6 people that secret, well, we sort of play that out and calculate the probability that it would get out based on that and based on the relationships that are in place. And now and also who talks to each other, right? Like, you don't want 2 people talking to each other and discovering they both got a secret from you, because then, they might, like, that might break down trust or something in your information.
So, what is your ultimate aim?
Boss of secrets. No.
What is actually going to bring people in to buy this game?
I think there's fun in just, I guess it depends on how you present it. It's a little bit like, a game that I've been following called Shadows of Doubt.
Okay.
Which is a procedurally generated, like, detective sort of thing. And it calculates the different relationships, and you can like pin stuff to your board and whatever. I'm not saying we do that, but just in that way where it's this, it's a playground for you to essentially explore these relationships, and you've got your little secrets that you take notes of and can essentially trade and whatever. And I think the fun would come from just the emergent gameplay there, of sneaking around this town, and maybe you do somewhat, you simulate their activities and stuff, their schedules or whatever. So, like, oh, okay, Franco downstairs, in the apartment, whatever, he goes out to work at 6 a.m. every morning. And so I know that I can wait until then to, steal his mail, right? Or whatever.
So what I would love is that there's actually a secret, like, secondary game within the game in which you don't trade in the secrets, and you actually have like a day job that you go to, and you just do little mini games, and that's how you make your living.
And you just never even find out any of these secrets. You just essentially
the idea being that it's a week in this guy's life, And the majority of people are just going to play for the secret part because they didn't know that the hidden achievement was that you go through the week just playing these mini games, and it's a
but you
totally
still see some of these secrets play out though.
Oh yeah,
because the world's being simulated around you. You're just not taking advantage of them, essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I could see that.
There's value in that.
and I think what could be fun is you can embed various levels of depth where, you know, in any particular game, you're not going to find all the secrets. No. But if you play it,
if you do find certain secrets, then you can work out, this person's Wi-Fi password is their secrets, and they've got more secrets on their PC that I can hack into if I crack their Wi-Fi password.
Yeah. And that's it. And you can trade. You can trade for, you can have some secrets that are just little things, like their Wi-Fi password. They don't want anyone to find that out because they might get hacked. Yeah. But their friend knows it because they used it one time. And so you might trade a secret with that friend to get that Wi-Fi password. Or you might have other methods to literally, generate secrets through your scouting and scavenging.
What if you found out that one of your neighbours is actually on the FBI's most wanted list and they had surgery to change the look of their face?
Yep.
And you find out that they're actually this mass murderer or this, really horrible person.
Well, now you have a very powerful secret, and depending on how much influence this person has in the town, there's many, many things you can do.
You trade it for a Wi-Fi password.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because you've got a crush on that person, and you're also an appalling gentleman, so you want to stalk their shit and see if they like you too.
And then you find out that, you hack into this person's Wi-Fi password, Wi-Fi, and you hack their computer. And then you find out that their big, big secret that they didn't want anyone to know is that they like you, and that's it.
Yeah. And it's a happy ending until they find out that you stalked them and broke into and corrupted their privacy. That's not the right word. Anyway. I also kind of like the idea of, if there are other people trading secrets, there's a secrets trade going on here, that you need to kind of make sure that the middleman for some of your secrets aren't involved in the secrets themselves. Like, if for example, you say to this mass murderer who you now have the information on, I want that person's Wi-Fi password, them having that Wi-Fi password or whatever you end up trading them for that Wi-Fi password in it, an intermediate secret, could set them off down some path. Because now they've got, the secret of where does the chief of police live, and they're going to go murder them or whatever.
You just got to be very careful about that.
Yeah. So, I like that.
3, 2, 1, click.
Interconnecting web of secrets. The web of secrets. Web of lies. Okay.
Bush journal.
Emptying society.
I kind of like the idea that this is a person coming back from a trip.
Yeah.
So, they've got a journal there that they've, they sort of tied up and all this sort of stuff. It's got a nice little bow on it, sort of thing. It's like a diary of their trip, and it's one of these things that is near and dear to them. And it's when they're leaving the airport, they lose it.
Okay,
they lose this journal.
Yep.
And you said something about emptiness,
emptying society,
emptying. So I'm thinking that this was very important to this person. So important that, the world kind of feels empty to them. I think it's got to do with, it was the final trip with, their parent or something like that, while they were gone, it was sort of like their father's dying wish that they finally went to Australia or something like that. And they got to go to the outback. And they passed away while there, and you had the funeral, and the other thing that you're sort of bringing back is maybe the urn or something like that. But the journal is really the main thing that you're sort of going for, because it's got basically your whole story of what happened on your trip with your dad, and
So how does this? So you're presumably playing the person who's lost the journal.
Yes.
How how does it play out? Do you think? Do we use the journal also as sort of a bit of a framing device where we like play out pages from it, or is it?
Yeah, play out pages that they can remember, and sort of, you know, their memory's a little bit hazy from what they remember. So maybe later on in the game, you know, when they do get the journal back, they can go back through one of the earlier levels that they went through, and they've got a little bit more information about, you know, what actually happened there now, and you can sort of see some other things that happened around this thing. I know, I think it could be good if it was sort of like not necessarily a visual novel, but I like the idea of it being sort of like an adventure game through talking.
Yeah.
With your dad in the past and basically in your head.
Yeah.
And also, you know, vignettes of trying to figure out, you know, what happened to the journal. You know, you're talking to security and saying, look, I dropped it out. And you see on the thing that, yes, it dropped out, but someone picked it up. So now you got to try and track them down.
And I think maybe that, I think you intersperse the scenes essentially of you trying to find it with, you know, they're triggering memories as you tell people about it, or and it could even be one of these things where the act of trying to, maybe you don't find it, maybe the act of finding it, you replay,
you've been able to
replay and recreate all these memories in your head, and it's this sort of thing of like, you know, realizing that the memories are what's important, and that now you've told your dad's story to so many people just while trying to hunt down this journal. Yeah, that could be a really nice kind of scene of that realization when they find out, like they find the remnants of the journal because it got, you know, put in a crusher and burned or whatever, like,
or you know, a floor waxer or something like that ran over it and it's
you have
ripped
that,
apart.
Yeah, you have the great scene of like finally they've found it, they've tracked it down, it fell out of someone's bag on the side of the road, and then the street sweeper comes and all the pages just go. Or someone's lawnmower or something.
It's literally you're at the airport and you walk out and there's like this garden mulcher there that is just blowing leaves the whole time. You're like, what the hell's a garden mulcher doing there? You find out at the end of the game
that's where it went.
No, you find out at the end of the game. It was there literally as a setup for when you trip over on the way out and it goes into the garden mulcher.
Right, I see. Yeah. Yeah. Chekhov's mulcher.
Yep.
I don't know. I think that's a nice short and sweet little one. I feel like we kind of covered it. That'd be good. All right. 3, 2, 1, click. I like to call it my leisure patch.
Find donation. And find is in FINED.
I am asking for donations because I was sitting on my leisure patch and I got fined for indecent exposure.
And of course, you know, my leisure patch is the bomb.
Leisure patch Larry. No, okay. What is the leisure patch? We have to have something that is this what some really awkward, like early 20s nerdy guy calls his like man cave? Welcome back to my leisure patch.
No.
A raunchy comedy.
Okay, I think the leisure patch is actually it's a charity, right?
Okay.
And people are giving donations to this charity.
Yep.
But it turns out that they're not so above board.
But with a name like Leisure Patch, how could they not be?
They're not above board, and basically they've been fined because you know they said that they were a not-for-profit, yet they've gone and spent all the cash.
Okay, what are they claiming to be a charity for? What would Leisure Patch, whatever is there? Yeah, anyway.
The whole thing is maybe the charity's all about making patchwork dolls for kids, right?
Okay,
and instead they spent all the money on leisure.
It's a front. Well, I think it's still called Leisure Patch though, because that's just funny. But it's about it's Leisure Patch because hey, you have fun with our patchwork dolls. But yes, so they're taking money under the table and going out on the town. So are you do you play... Maybe this is sort of a quirky game where you play like a precocious child who is discovering this and going through the offices or the... I don't know, I'm almost picturing like a Little Nightmares kind of thing where it's everything's kind of larger than life. These fraudulent
now
charity...
picturing... You're picturing that, or I'm picturing that, they're going through like vents and stuff that they're sort of creeping through, and they hear stuff going on in a meeting where they're talking about, making sure that all the money gets moved into the other account or something like that.
Yeah. Out of the Leisure Patch account and into the Leisure Palace account. That's our secret account. Ha ha ha, we're evil. Yeah, I could kind of see it as a bit of a stealth-ish sort of platformer almost.
So how did you get here?
Well, you're obviously a very adorable orphan looking for a patchwork doll.
Adorable orphan, or your mum brought you here because you've always, I'm thinking
she
that whether
died, and now you're an adorable orphan.
Beware the orphan puncher. I'm thinking that's like the evil nemesis of your character.
The orphan puncher. Yeah. Okay. That's the CEO of Leisure Patch. Orville Orphan Puncher.
Orville Orphan Puncher.
It's completely coincidental that that's his name. He comes. It's actually hyphenated because when his father, good old
except
Billy Orphan,
his name is actually Orpan. It's just the people.
It's just pronounced.
Orpan.
It's pronounced Orphan.
Orpan Puncher.
Orpan Puncher. Yeah, my dad Billy Orpan married my mum Francine Puncher, and they hyphenated my name and they call me Orville, and yeah, I'm Orville Orpan Puncher. Nothing to do with how often I punch orphans at all. Just completely coincidental. I only punched an orphan that one time.
It's like, I hate that your parents are dead. Bang!
Just whenever I see an orphan, it makes me so mad that their parents are dead. I have to punch them. All right. Are we done with that one?
Yeah, I think we're done.
Yeah,
with
okay.
That.
Bye, Leisure Patch. I'll see you later. Don't you want to click?
Yep. Pronounced garble.
Oh, no, sorry. Contributing joy.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say pronounced garble?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
As in, it's pronounced garble.
It's spelled gabelle, but it's pronounced gobble.
I don't know. That's just what came into my head when it said pronounced garble.
Well, I mean, it's just a funny combination to have pronounce and then talk about garbling something. Like maybe this is around some sort of speech thing or and contributing joy. This is about a woman named Joy.
Mm-hmm. Joy Garbell.
Joy Garbell.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And she contributes to something.
3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1, click.
It's pronounced. Move on.
Okay. Stirred station.
Strategic fever.
Ooh, I got a strategic.
You give me fever. Strategically.
All right. Stirred could be like stirring up trouble. And then to strategically stir trouble up to a fever pitch.
Either that, or it's like 12 Monkeys, and you're stirring the final ingredients of the of this virus that is going to cause a pandemic. You drop it into the water fountain at the station, strategically,
okay,
and walk away.
And the game is done. And then it's just that game that simulates the virus across the Earth's thing.
Yeah. I know. I wonder why I've got a pandemic in my mind. Like
too soon, considering we're literally in the middle of lockdown in Victoria.
That's right. We recorded this 2 weeks ago.
We might still be in the middle of lockdown, Trevor. I hope not. But.
This is still the first week of lockdown.
Yeah. All right. So, look, I can get behind the evil villain dropping a virus or a poison or something into the water supply.
Yep.
Is that the beginning, though? Or is this this is the cold open and then we flash back to, 5 years earlier?
Yes.
And essentially we know now that, this is going to lead up to either our character or some character. Maybe you don't see who it is. They're like a hooded figure in some way, causing this huge pandemic.
Okay. So I'm going to go to the end and I'm going to spoil what actually happens.
Yeah, that's fine.
He's pouring an antidote into this station's thing. And you think that it's, a virus and, he's pouring it in and people are going crazy, but it just so happens that like there's a virulent plague out there.
Right. And we cut,
this is an antidote.
Yeah, we cut it in a way where it's like, you see him put the stuff in there and then you see all these people dying with like pustules all over their face. But we cut away before we see like those pustules start to fade up. As this antidote is spread.
This is a virus in which like it can reverse the devastating, fever that went through. So I think the virus that went through that ended up causing all men on Earth to be sterile.
Oh, it's a little why the last man situation. It's a great comic series by the Walking Dead guy. I think the same guy did that. Maybe Brian. No, Brian. Anyway, no, it wasn't him. But anyway, okay, that's okay. How long ago did this happen? Like, are we talking a situation where
we're talking? Maybe they find out that. Okay, so how we've been using microwaves for the last 30 years? Well, it turns out this week we found out that that's what's been like killing all the sperm.
Wait, I thought it was this virus or whatever.
No, they use a virus to
reverse it.
Switch the DNA back on.
Right. Okay.
Repair the DNA or whatever. And they're getting pustules because, like, it's a virus, but...
Well, it doesn't have to be the pustules. You could just see them... Like, I mean, we had the word fever, so I feel like they should...
Yeah.
I feel like it has to be more of a quicker thing. Like, it has to be some grand plan that we're foiling, though.
Okay. The man in the moon.
No, look, let's go. I like this idea. Like, the end is a flip around in that you think... from the beginning that your character, so maybe you do see that it's your character. You see your character, you see this person.
He doesn't have a beard though, so you can't quite tell that it's him. But you know that as you start growing a beard over time, that it's like, oh.
Well, yeah, I think there's enough of a resemblance that you fairly quickly realize, that was my character who did that at the end. So, okay, I'm playing a game where I'm leading up to this character, like, killing a vast number, attempting to take out a huge number of the population, huge amount of the population. But then, of course, yes, like it's going to end up with this antidote in the final act. So we need, though, I think for a good amount of time there, you need to be leading towards people thinking like, oh no, he is going to do this. Like my character is a sociopath of some sort. So. I think then we need someone else who did release something that you're then backing out. I don't know.
If you look back at something like did you ever watch the TV show Gotham?
No.
So in that they had one of the guys who worked with the police was Edward Nygma, who becomes the Riddler.
Yeah.
But he was a good guy. There's no reason why you can't start him off as sort of like a reasonable guy who occasionally in dialogue choices you can choose an option that is a little bit unusual, but
look, I was more,
he doesn't have to be a sociopath.
I was more thinking of if we want the player to believe that their character is going to do that, then I mean, for someone to do that, they essentially have to be a sociopath, or at least have to be so evil to take out that many people. Yeah,
or it's how does he get from this nice, mild-mannered reporter to
I'm just trying to get that arc right of yes, and you begin off. I don't think that you like the. I don't think you set it up in the first scene that like, that person's definitely going to try to kill everyone on the planet. But if we want that arc where the end is a surprise, then we need the player to believe at some point that they are actually going to attempt to do that. So I guess it's just.
Well, I suppose what you can do then is you can have that sort of the couple of different time periods. You've got as the virus is being planted in 5 years in the future. You've got 5 years in the past where he's a mild-mannered guy who's just discovered like this really nasty virus that is.
I think maybe he discovers a transport mechanism, basically, like some sort of universal, incredibly contagious, like transmissible way to spread like whatever DNA fragments or something that's going to spread through the population very quickly.
And then you've got the next time period is literally like 6 months before the event that he's going to spread around everywhere.
Yeah.
And so by jumping between those different periods, you can not show those 4 years in between where, he's really changed and he's, now working with people and saying, this virus, it's imperative that it gets out on this date and all this sort of stuff. I've calculated it.
I do like the idea then. Yeah. So essentially in that 4 years, some event has actually happened, like whatever it was, like some other evil person got hold of the transport mechanism and used it to put out something that really did damage a huge percent of the population. Yes, I like that because then you're fucking with the player, but in a fun way.
Yeah.
Because then as you
unreliable narrator,
you switch back and forth, and eventually. In the past, you'll get to that, like, you'll get to that point, like, probably right before, the last third of the game or whatever, or the whatever, before the climax, where you're in the past, but you see the TV report or something of, like, millions of people struck down with this fever or whatever, and you're like, wait, we haven't got to the part where we released the thing yet. What's going on? And then, there's a click of, like, oh, shit, like, we're trying to save them. Yeah. That's cool. I like that.
So I think 2.5 years is where the insinuating event actually happens. So you've got like a year and a half before, and you've got like a year or so after it, or 2 years or so after it, that you're sort of coming up with a plan on what you're going to do, and then you've got 6 months to set it in place. And by having that 2.5 years either side, you've got enough time that you can play around in the past, you can play around after the drop sort of comes, that you kind of now know, okay, there is actually another virus and you're now trying to stop that.
Yeah, essentially.
You can then show some of the stuff that happened in between the 2.5 to 4.5 years.
Yeah. You can, that's when you kind of do the big reveal of, all the stuff that we intentionally withheld to make you think that you're an evil genius. Yeah. That's cool. I like that. That's fun.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea that it's sort of almost showing, a umbrella pharmaceuticals sort of thing of, you're working for this really evil looking company that has, we've had all these stories about, viruses getting out from all these different things.
They're called Versadirt because that's where they like breed the virus in the soil.
I love that. Versadirt. Good callback. to 30 minutes ago.
Yeah. That's cool. That's
Do you think there's much persuading that you need to do throughout the game? Like you trying to get your crew together?
Yeah, well, I guess I think yes. I think I like that idea of getting your kind of your people, your little gang. It's
kind of an Ocean's 11 sort of thing in which you're trying to
set
up all these decoys and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you're essentially having to pull off a heist. It's like, no, the water fountain in the middle of Capital Station is the only place, it's directly in the center of town. It's the only way we can get this out fast enough.
If we drop this into the sewer system, it'll actually spread out to I don't know,
to the extent of the town, and before it completely dissipates. So it's the only way we can do it, but we're not going to get in the security there ever since the event has through the roof. The roof.
Well, they find out that's where the first I think it's actually they end up following along with the same plan that the original crew did.
Right. Yeah.
So the news report at 2.5 years was there was a virus outbreak in the middle of Central Station, and
spreading quickly, and that's cool, because
you don't even need to show like dates, and you can just bounce around, kind of like your any of your Quentin Tarantino movies where they're like, and now this chapter is happening, and you can just name it something, and it's jumped around from where you last saw them.
I do like the idea of it being a good couple of years since it had happened, though, when you jump forward, so you can see how the world has responded to it, essentially. Because I think it's spread. Maybe not. It's maybe not the world at this point. I don't know. Well, you want it to have spread pretty far, but you're stretching disbelief a little bit to think that you need to put it directly in Central Station again to get out to the whole world. But whatever. It's an action game. But yeah, I think maybe you've got elements there of then searching down and hunting down the members of the other crew. To get information and to, eventually figure out who it was that did it. Maybe there's a big like showdown right before you're ready to drop it in, where the villain finally like reveals
turns around
themselves or
you
shows
with a beard.
I'm you from the future. This never should have happened.
I did this so that you could be the hero that you've always been destined to be.
Yeah.
And we flipped it around twice. It was actually, you did see the 2.5 year version.
Actually, what you thought was the past is actually the future. What you thought. I don't even know if that makes sense now. My brain's too. That's pretty good. That sets up the sequel, I feel like. When you find out at the end, it's the future you, and now the sequel is about you like trying to prevent yourself from doing it somehow, even though it's literally what you're destined to do. I don't know.
Yeah, and the first one's like a pandemic breaker or something like that, or something to do with pandemic.
Yeah,
and then the next one is paradox.
Yeah,
because the whole idea is that you're trying to cause a paradox now and
yes,
work
exactly.
around it.
And then to complete the P trilogy, the third game is
penetration.
Pantaloons. Which is where you find yourself back in the past and you have to wear big floppy pantaloons. Because you broke time travel. All right. Where the fuck
all time is happening at all time, all together.
At all times, time is happening all of the time. 3, 2, 1 movie?
I just got some good words.
Okay, let's just make it a click pitch night. 3, 2, 1 click.
It's a click pitch night.
Hack cyclist.
Damn batch.
Okay. Hack cyclist makes me think of like Tron. Like light cycles.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And batch. That brought me to batch jobs and that sort of stuff.
Batch processing. It's only you and me who would go to fucking that when you think of batch, I think. But the batch. The batch is like the evil.
Now I'm just picturing a hacktivist or something like that riding a pedal powered computer. It's a pedal powered computer that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to keep it going.
Doing my part. Doing my part. No, I like the idea. I feel like the batch is like the nameless minions of the bad guy within this computer world.
Yeah.
Always there in the background.
Also known as TSRs.
And so even cycles, like cyclist.
Yep.
Was Tron making that pun with cycles?
Maybe.
If they were, I literally just got it. Because you usually talk about like processing cycles or whatever when you're talking about computing.
So I like the idea that it turns out that this computer world is essentially like what hell has been described as.
Okay.
To us.
Yep.
Like when you go into the computer world, it is actually, a world that is sort of almost built itself up on
pits of lava
on the world
and brimstone and
it's sort of like
torturous things.
And then you start thinking, if there's a digital hell, is there a digital heaven?
So how do you get there? Is this some sort of like consciousness upload into the world of computers? Are we just not explaining it?
I do like the
Tron,
idea of a consciousness upload where you put like a stack hat on. Because I'm picturing that it's like set in the 80s and it's got, the...
It's like an actual big stack hat bike helmet. Yeah, with like...
Big stack hat.
I've forgotten that word.
Everyone who isn't Australian or didn't grow up in the 80s, have a look at what's...
Yeah, Google stack hat. Presumably that.
And look at the orange one.
Oh, yeah. Look, it's like the first 15 images. Yeah. That's what every kid in the Australian 80s looked like.
The biggest fucking helmet that you could think of.
They call it a stack hat. That's so Australian.
It's for when you stack, mate.
You stack. I stacked, but I have my stack hat on, so I'm all right.
It's so 80s. But anyway, I'm picturing the big stack hat helmet that you put on, and it's got all the electrodes in it. And then, you hit a button on the big, space bar, and, you sort of, instead of the whole Tron thing of you get digitized and moved in there, your consciousness just gets uploaded.
You just become a nothing.
But the thing is, this world isn't pixelated. It's not that typical 8-bit or 16-bit or anything like that you expected. It's actually, almost a fully scary world of...
Do we go full horror with this then? Like, I'm almost getting an Event Horizon vibe of like these people, these group of freakers and hackers have figured out how to upload their consciousness into the computer, but when they come back, like they're not quite right because they've seen things and they've seen the horrors.
Or are they just being taken over by batches?
Oh. It's literally the computer then like depossessing,
controlling meat puppets.
Yeah.
And it's possession, but it's then you have to sort of go in and maybe you find these hackers and stuff that
their consciousness is still in there, right? Yeah. That's cool because then you can play with it both ways. You can, they're describing to you once they've come out, like the places they've come from, and you're like, they've been to hell. Like somehow hell is in these computers. Like I've got to see it. I've got to get in there myself. And then you get in there, and you've discovered this world where you come across one of them, and they're stuck in a. I don't know. Do they still look like themselves in there? How is this? Is this like Matrix style where you've got like
I think it's like Tron where they do look like them. They do happen to look like themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Because that just makes it easier to recognize your character. Okay. Who's your character played by? We need a big celebrity.
Oh, we're going to do a casting sort of dealy here. What sort of age range are we going for here?
I know. I think it's got to be like mid-30s, early 40s. Like,
okay, it's like us-ish, bit younger.
Us-ish, but if we were in the 80s,
so like maybe like a Hemsworth. Probably not the good ones. Like a lesser Hemsworth.
A lesser Hemsworth. Like a Liam?
Yeah, like a Liam. Or the unknown Hemsworth, Bob Hemsworth. Larry Hemder. Swift.
Larry Hamner. No, okay. Let's actually be real about this, because I was sort of thinking, Keanu Reeves did a good job in Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like they can get the capture really quite nice now.
Oh yeah,
much better than what everyone looked in LA Noire, where they looked so creepy.
Well, who's big? I mean, who's big these days?
Paul Rudd.
He's definitely more than 40, but he looks less constantly because he's been drinking the immortality juice. So yes,
yeah,
and also then we can have a Tane. Cameo.
Oh yeah, there's 100% Tane.
Just got a celery man dance going on.
God damn, I love that. I wish that we could actually get that show somewhere properly, like streaming.
Yeah,
Tim and Eric.
I've not seen much of Tim and Eric at all, but that one in particular is a favorite.
And I know what we'll be watching in about 10 minutes.
So this is just Tane it is Tane, right? I hope I'm getting it right.
Yeah.
This is Celery Man, the video game.
Yeah. Celery Man goes to hell.
Celery Man goes to hell. Oh man. All right.
Should we do one more?
Yeah. Modified coloring.
Selfish incidents.
It's one of those like calming iPad coloring in games.
Ooh, okay. Tell me more.
Where you've got a scene and you choose colors. Obviously, you color in different aspects of the scene, but maybe it's a combination coloring and hidden object mobile game that sort of tells a story. And maybe the story can play out in different ways depending on how you color it.
Or how selfish you are in coloring it. Like, this could be a multiplayer game in which you play with someone else.
Okay. How is it just to selfishly color something in? Is that just only going with the colors you choose?
Well, selfishly coloring in would be you've actually colored in a minimum of 51% of the actual screen.
Right.
So that's selfish because you did the majority of the coloring. I know. I'm trying to bring it
that's
selfish.
That's fine. How do you? I'm curious now, because is this a balance then between doing good coloring in versus fast coloring in? Like, you're racing now with this person, or can you color over them or not? Like, I feel like no. I feel like you can't color over them.
I think the only thing you can do is shade. If
you can add highlights and shadows. This is just like a competitive paint by numbers.
It could be calming though. If you got on like with someone really, really good, like, and it was just a calming thing of, oh wow, they're doing a good job with that. I'm going to try and match that skin color and keep on going down here.
Whoops!
Look, they started doing some
eyedropper and
highlights.
Some green.
So I'm going to do some highlights over here,
and I fucked up the whole picture, and now they hate me.
See, what I found out the other day, you know those Slither IO and all those IO games. Did you know that not a single one of them is actually multiplayer?
I had a inkling. It's essentially, it's sort of asynchronously multiplayer though, isn't it?
No.
Really?
It's all bots.
Seriously?
It is all 100% bots.
Okay, that's wild.
And I was watching a video on it, and they were actually showing that, if you disconnect, it actually shows, or if you try to go in there while not being connected to the internet, it actually says, you can't connect. But if you happen to unplug the modem from your PC while you're playing, oh look, you don't lose any lag or anything like that. It just keeps on going.
That's hilarious.
And it comes back to the fact that these developers, if they were not getting anyone playing, and then people logged in and there was no one playing while they were logged in.
Yeah, then they just don't play.
They had to build bots, and there's like, what's the point of getting laggy code and all this sort of stuff? Just
make the whole thing bots.
Make the whole thing bots.
I mean, that works for some games, I guess. Yeah. That's funny.
So for this game, I'm saying that we do that exact same thing.
Right.
We actually have a computer opponent that you're playing with, and you only find that out when you realize that you can't ever play it with any of your friends.
Yeah.
It's always
matchmaking. Yeah.
Okay, let's go one more.
Yeah, okay.
That was a shit one to end on.
Threatened engineer.
Rounded clarification. You know what I'm thinking of?
No.
Officespace.
Okay.
Do you remember what their whole plan was in the movie Officespace? It was all about the rounding.
Oh, the
rounding.
Right. The Superman 2 thing. Superman 4, 3,
or whatever.
I think. The Richard Pryor one.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, okay. All right.
So the clarification is you've been pulled in, by your boss to explain yourself. Basically, something's happened, and then
so this whole game is set in this like conversation with your boss.
Set in a conversation with your boss, and then, it again does like the usual suspects thing of going out and playing the vignettes of the part.
Okay, so it's the framing. Yeah, the framing device is you've been.
It's a framing device again.
Yeah. All right.
But it's all set within an office.
It's all set within an office. We can play on the Office Spacey kind of vibe. Everyone's very, corporate and fake nice.
What's Stephen, what's his name's character name in that?
Oh, Milton?
Yeah, Milton. Because that the whole movie was actually based off of the comic Milton.
Yeah.
Yet they didn't even include Milton in it that much.
I mean, he had some important parts to play.
Stapler.
He needed his staple back, and then he burn the whole place down. My stapler.
God, I haven't seen that for ages. I need to watch it again.
Me too. But okay, so these vignettes that you're playing out, is this another thing?
Okay,
like,
can we play a scene?
Okay.
So you've just been brought into my office. I'm the boss. Like, so I'm gonna need you to explain yourself about the rounding.
The rounding. No idea what you're talking about. What do you mean? What do you mean?
There's been some money go missing from our accounts.
No.
We've known for a long time that there's rounding occurring, and we've been catering for that. And someone's pilfered our millions.
Oh, like the Superman 3 thing. Is that?
Yeah. That's where we got it from.
Right.
So where's my money, motherfucker?
What? You know what? I bet it was Gary.
I agree.
Yeah. You see?
But yeah, I like the idea of doing, vignettes, and again, more framing devices. This is the episode of framing devices for some reason.
This whole episode has been a framing device for next episode. And the one, no, I don't know. So hang on. So we've got the framing device. Is this another situation where like you don't know at the beginning if your character did do this?
I think you've just been pulled in because, they're asking everyone. And you can basically go back, they maybe come at you and saying, just tell us what happened 3 days ago. And you go back, 3 days earlier and you start playing through the day, and it's literally kind of playing through the first part of Officespace of, you really don't want to be there, and
yep. Yeah.
You've got the day's just dragging.
7 bosses come around to bug you, and then do you answer questions? When you jump back to...
I just love the idea that throughout this whole 3-day thing, like, you're just making a paperclip necklace, and you're just adding a little bit more.
Every time you come back, it's longer. Yeah. Do you jump back to the interview with the boss then and do you have to be answering questions or?
Yeah, I kind of like the idea that it's based on your answers determines what actually happens in the
Okay. Yeah.
You can just have 2 or 3 questions about each before you go into each vignette, and your choices that you made happen within the vignette.
Just sort of a bit of a choose your own adventure kind of funny story.
Yeah.
Branching story kind of deal.
And then, at the end you can pin it all on Milton if you want.
Well, you'll have multiple endings. One of them is you pin it on Milton and he burns the place down. I mean,
yeah, I know. I think that'd just be kind of fun to play around in a movie that everyone should have watched, but also it's a, you can have fun with it.
Yeah.
In a Usual Suspects kind of way.
Yeah, I mean, when anyone thinks of a movie tie-in crossover game that needs to exist, it's the Officespace cross with the Usual Suspects. I mean,
every single time they say, why wasn't Gabriel Byrne in Officespace?
Yeah, exactly. If you want to find us online, go to podchaser.com/bitstorm. Leave us a review. We'd love that very much. Go back through all our previous episodes, listen to the now definitely thousands more, well, at least 1,000 games that we've come up with over the years, and let us know what you think.
One day we'll count them. Not today. Too tired.
No.
Okay, and we'd also like to thank the wonderful musicians of the band Kuridas for allowing us the use of the song Meant to Find Stuff of the Album Containment Failure.
That's right. So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
And I'm Orville Orphan Puncher.
Did you say Orphan Puncher? Ah!